This is a quick author update. The first piece of good news is that I have made $100 in royalties, finally, over a period of 3 years, having started in 2023. Uh, the account I set aside for Amazon.com payments has hit $100 finally. So that's a little bit of an achievement, which is quite nice to go to three figures. Money's part of the answer, but to be fair, getting reaction from readers, which I have from a number of you who are probably going to watch this video, is worth much more, to be honest. So although it is nice to get a little bit of material compensation, to get reader reactions is much, much more gratifying. So thank you to all of you who've, who have publicly come out in support of my writing and given me some confirmation that I can do it. And to everybody else, who's bought and read, thank you very much. The next news is not quite so good for indie authors, and that's the recent Barnes and Noble announcement that they're not going to allow books by indie authors to be priced below, I think it's $14.99. So that means that I had to adjust the price of my two short story collections to $14.99, even though they're only $12.99 on Amazon. So if you are going to buy them, you'll buy them from Amazon. And that's just how the world is. I wanted people to buy through Barnes and Noble. Is a number of things I like about Barnes and Noble. They're not Amazon. And they have real bookstores for the most part as well. And I'm keeping those books up there at $14.99. So if you really, really feel that you want to support Barnes and Noble and buy books through there, you can. You won't be able to buy The Boy Who Built a Rocket Ship and Another, that collection of two novellas, because that is $9.99 on Amazon, and I'm not raising that to $14.99 on Barnes and Noble. So that will disappear. It probably has done already. I don't think Barnes and Noble, they're not allowing any books below $14.99 to appear, and they're automatically removing them. So you won't be able to get that one through Barnes and Noble. The complication I have with that one is that I'm actually distributing it using draft to digital, and so I don't quite know how that's going to work. I presume all the other platforms that book appears on will be at the right price where it can be bought as a paperback. But I think most of the other platforms are going to be ebooks. The next thing is YouTube. I am very thankful to the small audience that I've got on YouTube, because you guys have bought my books, and these sales that I made recently through you are really the first real sales that I feel I've made. I've had relatives and friends and work colleagues buy them, and I'm grateful to everyone who did that too. But I know why they did that. They did that as a kindness to me, and I really appreciate that, because that provided that little boost you need at the beginning. Always, that it's, you're not just throwing this stuff into a black hole and it's all a waste of time. But to have readers buy them for the sake of reading them and then enjoy them is for me a slight step up, because I'm starting to make real small gains into an audience of people who want to read my stuff, not because I'm Guy and they know me, but because they like my writing, or you like my writing. And so that's I love both audiences, but the audience that the ones I want to build are those people who want to read my books for the sake of reading them. And YouTube has been the place that I've done that. I tried on TikTok, and I've been more successful in terms of followers on TikTok, as I've mentioned before, but I just can't crack how to sell books on TikTok. I just don't know how to do it. I you know I don't know. I don't know how to do it. I've tried. I have. But on YouTube, I've made a connection with this, as I say, with small audience, with you guys, and it's working. And so I do. But I'm suffering this slight kind of schizophrenia about YouTube, which is that it is a bit of a time sink. And so while I love making these videos, when I'm making these videos, I'm not writing and I'm not doing other things. And so I am going to have to be a little bit more rigorous with myself about how much effort I put into YouTube. And maybe I'm going to have to be a little bit more rustic in the way that I do my videos, which is probably a good thing, because the way I'm really going to promote my work is in the proximate sense through YouTube, but more in long term, I'm gonna have to write the freaking books. So I will need to kind of sit down and grind away at that. And I have been doing that a little bit today and over the last few days, and so I feel good about that. But I write slowly, and so YouTube maybe is going to have to take a little bit of a back burner. With regard to novel progress, as I just said then, it's going slowly, but I can see the end line, and that's just a case of sitting and grinding it out, and it's done. There isn't. I have got an interesting end dilemma, which is fun. It's nice to have an end dilemma. I can think of a number of ways of ending this thing, and I don't know which one to pick. I really don't. I really don't. But maybe I'll talk about that more closer to the time I actually get to doing the ending. But I'm thinking about it all the time. It's like I know how I can end it, but then the question is, do I? I mean, I can leave the product. Here's the problem. Here's the problem. I can kind of give you an ending, one of my endings, one of the several that I can think of, or I can let you have your own ending. And my feeling is I should let you have your own ending and not dictate my ending to you. Now, some people like that and some people don't. When Chris Priest does that, sometimes it works and sometimes it absolutely doesn't, for me. And occasionally I wanted to, I love Chris. I know he's passed on. But even so, even now, I want to go and I want to whack him on the nut and say, Chris, freaking, I could see where this was going. You could have taken it there. And I think it would have been a better novel. But I don't. But now I'm confronted with that problem. I'm not sure I want to do it. I want to say this is my ending. I think currently I want to leave the ending to you. Anyway, the last is I've been all the time that I'm writing this novel. Occasionally, you have you have short story ideas come to you. I'm sure you do. I do, and I've had a tranche of them, which I would classify as sex and science fiction. And so I think I've actually got enough to make an anthology. These stories they're in various different states of disrepair, from completed drafts all the way to just a scribbled idea. But I've got enough of them that I could do a whole collection on sex and science fiction. And I'm kind of thinking I might do that. It's adult stuff. One or two are a little bit transgressive. No, I mean, actually, probably not. Nowadays, what's considered transgressive is frankly gross, upsetting, and nasty. And I don't think none of it goes there, but it's definitely adult, and it edges. It's some of it's a little bit dark, some of it's sexy, but some of it dark, some of it's funny, some of it's ironic. So I think it might be a good collection because it touches different bases. It touches different bases. Sex. Never mind. Never mind. Yeah, I think it's got a nice balance. One of my fears about the Four Ages of Death, which it was really lovely to get Michael's Backlog 2 reaction to the second part of that, because I'm always afraid of that last story in the collection. It's it's a tricky one, tricky for me to write, and I'm worried about how readers react to it. I'm kind of concerned that I might really put people off with that story, but he liked it, and so that was a big relief, I can tell you. Anyway, so I think, and so that collection is quite dark, I think. But this sex collection is all about sex, obviously. But it's quite varied. The stories are quite varied, at least the way they are, that they exist at the moment. So that might be a good fun thing to do. And I think that's all the information I really have for you today. My writer update and author update, I suppose. And if you got this far, thanks for watching.
Anyway,